Hello, my name is Elise Dressel, and I will be discussing how wearing face masks in the time of COVID-19 has impacted our ability to successfully understand the emotions and attitudes of other individuals in social settings through the form of facial expressions. With the rise of COVID-19 cases in the year 2020, around the world came mandates that set forth the increase in masks or facial coverings worn to protect individuals from possible virus infection. An unintended consequence of the masks comes from the inability to clearly see people's faces besides their eyes, and therefore losing an important factor of communication. To get this presentation really going, I wanted to first talk about the importance of a smile. Our facial expressions reveal a lot about us, such as our feelings and thoughts, and may give an explanation for our behaviors. Specifically, like I said, smiling is an important physical cue in communication. It gives off the message that we are happy or pleased with the conversation being had and gives others the impression that we are both approachable and even trustworthy. Smiling plays a major role in conversations we have not just with our close circle, but also with strangers or acquaintances that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. Aside from positive or joyous emotions, a different smile may express surprise, nervousness, or even smugness, as seen as a smirk. This smile may give insight to our thoughts or emotions when we are in an uncomfortable or troubling situation. Having the lower portion of a face covered, like we do so often these days, creates difficulty in picking up on nonverbal cues in conversation and leads an individual having to pick up on other factors to interpret what people are feeling or thinking. With that being said, other parts of our physical selves have become important to understanding emotion. Now, I'm going to go over 3 different important cues. I'm going to talk about the body, I'm going to talk about the eyes, and I'm going to talk about some smaller cues that we don't necessarily really notice, but are a big part of our facial expression communication. Now, to start off, focusing on the body of an individual assists in better understanding their feelings towards you or the conversation at play. Body posture and movement are essential in this sense. For instance, a hunched over individual with their face in their hands may be perceived as worried or sad, while an individual jumping up and down with their arms in the air may be excited or pleased with the situation. Now, specifically in a different sense, eye contact has become a key in telling if an individual is happy, feeling neutral, angry, etc. For instance, when an individual is smiling, like we talked about before being so important, but we can no longer really see with the face masks, their eyes typically squint slightly and their cheeks are raised. On the other hand, when an individual is confused or frustrated, their eyes may become narrow or their eyebrows may scrunch up. Our focus has shifted to the eyes when the mouth is covered up. Those who are naturally uncomfortable with making eye contact may find it difficult these days to pick up on the emotional cues of other people in conversation or social interaction. The options for these types of people are limited. They can either continue to avoid eye contact and make social communication even more difficult than normal, or they are forced into feelings of awkwardness and having to divert eye contact. Now, there are other small factors that can be enhanced with the increase in mask wearing and the lack of viewing facial expressions specifically. For instance, the color of an individual's face may play a bigger role than ever before in situations such as an individual feeling sick or anxious, in which their face may become pale or even a touch of green, or an individual feeling embarrassed or stressed, leading their face to become a rosy pink color. On a different note, tear-filled eyes may be the result of sadness or joy, while drooping eyes may be a sign that the individual is immensely tired or bored. The bottom line is, because we can no longer see each other's mouths, something that had once played such a huge role in understanding the attitudes, the emotions, the behaviors, the thoughts of other people, we have had to pick up on other cues. Now, I want to talk about an instance in which wearing face masks may actually cause feelings of relief and be preferable, rather than other difficulties that we've seen with having to adjust. Many individuals with autism struggle with the reading and interpretation of facial expressions in a social context. This can be quite taxing and create feelings of uneasiness and intense stress. With everyone having to wear a mask, it creates a type of even playing field for individuals with autism who may instead have an easier time comprehending how others are feeling and be able to communicate their feelings back. However, this is not necessarily true across all situations, and is simply something that I have observed from working with individuals who have autism and struggle in certain social contexts. And this is my interpretation of how wearing face masks may actually benefit some of them. In conclusion, our ability to gather impressions of others in social contexts has drastically changed with the onset of COVID-19 pandemic. While reasons for this may also be social distancing and quarantining or isolation, masks have played a major role in limiting our experience with others. Having to cover the majority of our faces has taught us to adapt in new ways of comprehending other physical aspects of an individual to understand the context of conversation, as well as emotions and thoughts that play a role in social situations. The changes to socialization in the time of COVID-19, specifically due to the wearing of masks and interpreting the emotions and feelings of others, has been easy for some, but extremely difficult for others for a multitude of reasons, which is important to remember in future social situations. The majority of my presentation today came from observations and experiences that I have had working during COVID-19 following the reopening of multiple restaurant locations. The conversations I have had with customers, whether it be taking their orders or making small talk, have not been easy, but having to be polite and a member of the team that I work for, I've come to understand that it is important I take the weight of the situation into consideration when having these conversations. Remaining calm and reading other social or physical cues has taught me that adjustment is key in this world we are currently living in, specifically in situations where communication is essential. I've been forced to look at body movements, the eyes of the customer, and other factors to perceive how they may be feeling or thinking, especially because even speech has become limited in the fast paced, loud setting that I work at. With that being said, I chose to cover this topic because I wanted to explore the depth of how the lack of seeing an individual's facial expressions, specifically the majority of their face being their mouth and their cheeks, has limited our ability to perceive their feelings and thoughts and forced us to look elsewhere in order to have a successful social interaction experience. Thank you.